presentation on blended learning. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Stock, who will give a better introduction.
We were very fortunate this year to have the opportunity to be exposed to this concept of blended learning and work with a consultant by the name of Marsha Kish, who is out of Ohio, and most of it was done through an online mode of Skyping or Google Hangout. And Caryn's room was really the pilot room along with the other third grade teacher. And Caryn just flew with it. So Mrs. Knapp, you're on.
Someone want to just change it for me? I don't see how.
You want me to go on there and change it?
Yeah, I don't see how it's. Oh, maybe it's all the way to that up there now.
On the bottom.
Okay, maybe I'll be
left.
able to do it now.
Here.
Okay.
Let's touch the screen first.
If you tap it, it should.
Okay, that's Marsha. I was privileged to have Marsha as my blended learning coach this year. Should we turn off the lights? Okay. And what is blended learning? What is it? If you go online, if you Google it, there's a billion different ideas and explanations as to what it is. And I guess through learning about it and through implementing it, this is what I believe that blended learning is. Students moving at their own pace. If a student needs more time on something, they are given that ability and time to work at their own pace. Students work on their own independent levels, so the entire classroom is leveled to each individual child's needs and abilities. Every assignment is changed up or down for each individual child. There could be 6 different assignments created for one given assignment. Small group instruction. We are always working in small groups. We're always working, we're always teaching, and it's always either small groups, one-on-one, one-on-two, and that's both me and my assistant. We're both always with a group of children. Differentiated instruction and work. All the instruction is differentiated based on the level, and all the work is differentiated. Data drives the instruction. That's my favorite part. I'll show you an example in a few slides. And the personalized learning. The results. Students receive personalized attention they need, student confidence, and students driven to succeed. I find that in all my years of teaching, I've never had 40 students, every single one of them, so driven to succeed, to do more, to ask to do, can I do it at home? Can I do another one? We celebrate a lot. We celebrate our successes. We celebrate our drive. We celebrate everything that's going on in the classroom all the time. And that just became catchy. And it's just very much a part of the classroom, very much a part of what we do, and I believe part of the success of blended learning. So what does it really look like in my classroom at Yeshivat Noam? We have a board. This is the beginnings of the board. I'll show you the next slide will show the progression of the board. Students' names are on top. They know exactly where they're going to go, what station, what work they're going to be doing. At the beginning, we started with 3, I call them rounds, and then we've worked our way up to 6 or 7 or 8, again, going at their own pace and grouped at their own level. This is a more recent picture of the board where, based on whatever we were doing, groups are changing every single day, what they're doing every single day in the order that's needed or necessary for them. Stop me if you have any questions, by the way. I'd love to answer and share. A big key component is also the classroom setup. This is what my classroom looks like right now. In the corner over here and over here are 2 teacher stations where one of us sits inside here, able to look out at the whole classroom, see what's going on at all times. One of us sits in there, able to look out and see what's going on at all times. The iPad station in the corner, the children are facing the iPads, so we're able to see what's going on the iPads at all times. And then 2 other stations. So it's very, very clear where they need to go. It's on the board. If you're doing this today, meet me at the yellow station. If you're working in this today, meet me at the orange station, etc. And it's very, very clear to them. These are some students working. They're working in partners on that assignment. She's working on that and partners in assignment, and you'll see in a couple of slides in the video, they're always working, and they're always working independently. Obviously, sometimes needing our help or needing our input, they're like busybodies. It's truly amazing. Here's another picture. Some of them back there on different online reading programs. And so here's our data board. We decided very early on for our reading program, the stars are all for our reading program, for Achieve. And our big class motto is, we work for 88s or 100s. That means we can get one wrong or none of them wrong, but if the reading passage is on your level, if the reading passage, you can read it, then if you are having trouble understanding the question or comprehending what they're asking, ask. We're working to do well on these. And so every time a student scores an 88 or 100, they put a star up on the board. And then we had these ribbons for a student that's on another online reading program like Lexia when they pass a level, or on Extra Math when they pass a level. So everybody is always celebrating. This was our first board that filled up a couple of months ago. We brought in balloons, Laffy Taffies, celebrated just spontaneously to let them know that the reason that the board is filled is because of their hard work, because of their success. So I really feel like celebrations and just, I don't know, letting them recognize their own success is really a key part of it as well. So this is my ability to brag. The data drives the instruction. For all of our online programs, I receive the data. I'm obsessed with the data. And this is just a shot of what I look at for specifically to see how they grew over time. This particular screen tells me their growth every month. And you'll see here, the expectation is that students should grow about 100 points, for whatever that means for this program, over the course of the year. And these are 200s and 240, 175, 235. Really went into full swing around November, like once the Chagim were really over and we started this, and this is till now, and we still have a month to go. So I am over the moon with how exceptional our scores have gone up and how well they're doing. But I do believe that part of that is using the data, which I'll show you on the next screen, to work with them, to help them. So here's another screen that I go to in this same reading program. And over here, I like this particular screen because it breaks it down by standards. So I'll look at this particular standard. Let's say this one is me an idea. Honestly, it's fuzzy, so it's hard for me to see it. Here is the students 7 out of 20 that mastered this particular standard. Here are the students 5 out of 20 that need additional practice. And here are the students that need the aggressive intervention, 7 out of 20. So this is the column. These are my both classes, so 7 for my both classes. These are the column that I really focus on. I don't want to see anybody in this column in the aggressive intervention. Those are the ones that I really target. So when I click on that, they'll give me the names and the scores that they're receiving. And I will work with those students. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my day to work with them in their rounds. So 3, 2, 3, depending on their level, depending on their need, I will bring them into a group and I will work with them. And then I watch them jump to the additional practice, and then I watch them jump to the mastery. And as they go up in level, they might fall back to aggressive, and then I have to work with them again. But this is really huge in my instruction. Here's a little video.
Wait, before you start, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
Do you have similar, like, tons and tons of data for all the different programs that you're using?
This is the only online program that gives us like real live data that we crave, like that I crave, that I'm using. We have, Lexia and Mathletics that will tell us how they did, or if they didn't do as well, that I might meet with them or assign it to them again and work with them on it. But this particular program really gives it to us straight. I actually, Seth Dimber had a meeting with Noam the other day where I shared what I would love to see from the data from Noam, not me necessarily teaching the Noam, but using the kind of data that I love from Achieve and hopefully implementing that into the Noam programs as well. So I think, everything's a work in progress and we're always looking for new programs, but this is
And next
my
year, we
favorite.
hope to have similar data for math.
Well, let's hope now it's gonna work, now that I stopped it. I will come. What?
Can you go back to the screen?
I don't know, let me see. Every once in a while, my assistant and I are just so wowed by what's going on, like when we have that second to pick up our head and realize like, everybody's really working, like everybody's like on, and they don't even realize that we're looking at them because they're so on. So sometimes we'll just pick up an iPad and start to video. So I do have longer videos, but I chose just 2 little short clips for you guys to just see how it looks when we're in that wow stage and see if it works. Please go into view this video. That's what I want to do. What? What do I have to do?
I would go back one. Go forward.
Uh-huh.
On the bottom right, on the bottom of your video screen, it has a YouTube picture.
Uh-huh.
Click on that. No, she's saying.
Looks like my assistant stepped out for a minute and there are some children that are reading and responding to their biographies. There are some children that just had a mini lesson on their TFK and now they're reading and writing in their TFK. There are some children over here that are also responding or editing and making connections. And this is my group over here, and we are learning to write a second paragraph. 2 paragraph pieces. Hooray for 3rd grade. How cool is that? They don't even know I'm videotaping. I love it. Okay, Hoodie does.
Okay, and there's the president.
When he's about to go on, if you don't pause him.
What do you mean? Now I want to go to my next.
Anyway, as always, I want to close on a more serious note. I often joke about tension.
Okay, and now how do I go back?
Just hit escape.
Okay.
Tensions between me and the press, but honestly, what they say doesn't bother me.
X out that tab. There you go.
Okay, and now I have one more.
Over here at one station, we have students doing the smartboard activity. Here at the yellow station, they're working on the time for kids and writing. We have students doing independent reading and conferencing with teachers. And different students are doing reading applications on the iPads.
Exactly. Look what this is. You went right here. And that's what you guys do. Awesome job. So what is the essential if they want to protect them? And where do we say
Where they said, you even showed the map? Yeah, where was it? That last line that you just read. The Southern Ocean, if you look at the map, that whole ocean, they said is a safe place for whales. Don't you know? This whole ocean is a safe place for whales. No one can harm these whales. Okay, I'm looking here, when they're in this area. Okay, I want you to finish it off, finish off the article.
And that's what blended learning looks like in classroom. Please.
Do you plan all the activities? Like,
I do.
it sounds like you run like 6 different classrooms at the same time. So how
Thank you. Like, how does that impact
Her life?
Your life, your teaching, your ability?
So the first thing I
You're
have
making it sound like it's easier to reach every child, but I feel like with all the now extra planning that you have to do all the different stations, how does that work into really reaching every child?
So
It seems
the
wrong.
first thing I'll tell you is that all of the extra work that goes into this, the benefits that come out of it are so huge, you can't get hooked up. You can't not get hooked up. Do you understand what I'm saying? Initially, it was a lot of work. It was really, really working through it, realizing, ooh, this is not gonna work, how am I gonna figure this out, and really taking lots and lots of hours and putting in lots and lots of time to create 6 or 7 classrooms within one classroom. At this point, and I've been coached through it, like that was a huge component, I've been coached through it where I now see it very systematically, and where I say, you know, I work with my data and my Achieve mini groups on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'm not like obsessing every single night, you know, on my Achieve data. Or Mondays, I know that that's my time for kids day, let's just say, and I need to make sure that I have time for kids set up for my different groups. Or like it's become much more systematic, and at this point, much more manageable. And again, like what's going on in the room, like you saw them all like little busybodies work. It's always like that. There's never a time when you will walk into my room and be like, what's with that one over there? Never. So that's it's just how it is now. You know, my assistant's hooked. I'm like, they'll love it. You know, we started off with reading and writing because I felt much more comfortable just sticking to reading and writing and having that as like my initial focus. And I felt bad that we weren't going into math earlier. You know, like, how can they have such awesome instruction during reading and writing and not blend the math? So now we've moved into the math and we just have a whole day like that. So there are students that might have math when somebody else is having a time for kids lesson. You know, we're just moving. Or a student that needs another day on a math lesson, they have that second day. Or an extra review. Like, they don't blink when I say, just do me a favor, do these 2 problems for homework. And it's only one student that I'm giving it to. Like, everybody is so confident in what they need. It's not like, you're giving me extra homework. It's never like that. You didn't finish your Achieve article, I don't want you to rush. Go home and log on. And if you have a problem, stop. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Not even a blink of the eye. It's incredible. So.
Here's the follow-up question. Sorry. Taking this a minute. Was there a training process on behalf of the kids to learn how to do all the different things, to learn how to do the program on the smart board, to learn how to make them independent?
So yeah, the first 6 weeks of any classroom, of any good instruction is classroom management. And this just had a different spin. Initially, we started with a buzzer, which was equally as much for me as it was for them, where, you know, if we had a slot of, let's say, an hour 10 that day, and we were going into 4 rounds, so each round would be 17 minutes, just to pace all of us. And I see even now in the other 3rd grade class that's just moving along, you know, on a similar path, you know, that they're saying, the students are saying, I can't stop, I didn't finish. But you just get used to that idea of either now you're going to finish, or you're going to go back to that at another point because I need you in my group for right now. But that just became the culture of the classroom. That's what everybody does. You know, it's really very clear expectations, very clear guidelines. The classroom needs to just be set up for them to succeed. Yeah.
Quick question. First, just to clarify, there's never a time where you're teaching the entire class at once?
There are. It almost feels funny, but there are. Today, the math lesson lent itself to the whole class. It was a factor bingo game. And I just felt like it would be so much more fun if we did it all as a class and shouted bingo, you know, with 20 of us rather than 6 or 5. So we did. There's read-alouds that I still need that part of my classroom with my students to share, that time and those conversations. But they're very scheduled. It's not, okay, can we read another chapter? All right, fine. It's like, we're on a clock because we have to get to our rounds and we have work to do. Another huge benefit, which I'm finding, which I remember Marcia, my coach, cheering the first time I said it, that I find that we have more time to teach. I needed to find more things to do because we just have time. We're getting through a lot because everybody's doing different things. So that's also not related to what you were just asking, but something that it just made me think of. That's also a big piece. But yeah, I try and balance it. I still like to say good morning to my class as a group, That's still there.
Okay. I also had a second question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how this might carry over into 4th grade, or is it not?
We are all working on it.
Okay.
Trying to ensure that it will carry over as smoothly as it can. Yes. Anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 questions. So right now it's mainly in 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking about, the kids learning to stop in the middle and switch because it's time to switch, do you find that certain kids with certain learning profiles have more trouble doing that? Either kids with, trouble with transitions or kids with attentional issues? That just seems to me, without having tried it, something that some kids would take to with relative ease and some kids would be really flustered by or have just trouble moving on when they were in the middle of the math problem and they need to stop and, jump up.
Right. So it would never be in the middle of a thought, in the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a math problem. And I always say that, finish your thought. And I know that student that needs to finish it off before we move on. Or I know that student that I need to say, the round is over in 2 minutes. I just want you to finish up whatever you're doing because we're going to be moving on. And now we've lost the buzzer, literally lost the buzzer. So we just move when we're ready. So if that student is finishing their math work, they finish, their math work. Also, I'll tell you, students with attention, students with whatever issues we used to have to work on as, in the classroom, they're gone. Everybody, there's no time to lose focus. There's no time to be distracted. Everybody's working. And you can't even bother your neighbor because you're distracting your neighbor. So I think a lot of those, pieces are...
They're also always working on their level, so they're feeling very confident and successful.
Yeah.
The ADHD child fits in.
Totally fits in. It's amazing. That doesn't mean that I don't say to that child, you just worked so hard, you just did awesome work, go take a 2-minute break. And they're thrilled that I knew that they were working hard because I'm able to see that, and they're thrilled and proud that I just recognized it and gave them their 2 minutes out. So, also teachers have to recognize that balance and have to recognize when you've pushed a child to their limits, whatever else. But the idea also of moving and not sitting in your seat and looking up or full classroom works, yeah.
I can imagine that a system where they're working in smaller groups and rotating might be better for each child than
Right.
sitting in one direction all the time.
Thank you. One more question? Yeah. Who has one more question?
I was curious, is there any part of your 3rd grade goals that can be achieved with a program like this? Is there any creative thing that you typically did that this doesn't allow for?
I actually find that I've been more creative this year than I've ever been. For example, we had a biography unit. We studied biographies recently. And at every 2 weeks, we gave them a choice board, which I've never given before. So we gave them 9 activities. They were not all online. Some were online, some were, and they were able to choose. At the end of 2 weeks, I want you to reflect on any of the biographies that you've read or that we've read as a read aloud, and I want you to choose an activity to create and bring in and share with the class. So with respect to that, I feel like now I have the time to really give that to them.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.